For years, the silence around one of South Korea's most talked about celebrity divorces echoed louder than any statement. The sudden dissolution of the fairy tale marriage between Song Joong-ki and Song Hye Kyo shocked fans worldwide and ignited endless speculation. Now, in a deeply personal and emotionally charged interview, Song Joong-ki opens up for the first time about the painful decision, the years that followed, and how he ultimately found peace. The interview, conducted in a quiet, sunlit studio in Seoul, marks a turning point not just in Joong-ki's public image, but also in his emotional journey. Dressed in a simple black shirt and jeans, the actor's demeanor was calm, reflective, and remarkably vulnerable. "I've kept quiet because I respected her and respected what we had," he began, his voice steady but soft. But there comes a point where silence weighs heavier than truth. To understand the gravity of his words, we must revisit the love story that once defined the modern K-drama era. Song Joong-ki and Song Hye Kyo's romance blossomed on the set of the 2016 mega-hit series Descendants of the Sunday. The drama didn't just dominate ratings, it became a cultural phenomenon across Asia. Their on-screen chemistry was electric, and soon, it became clear their connection wasn't limited to the cameras. When the two announced their engagement in July 2017, fans reacted with elation. The Song couple, as they were affectionately known, symbolized everything fans loved about Korean romance: deep, devoted, and destined. Their wedding that October was a lavish affair held at the Shilla Hotel in Seoul, attended by industry giants and A-list stars. It was covered live by local and international media, cementing their status as the royal couple of Hallyu. But less than 2 years later, in June 2019, the fairy tale crumbled. Song Joong-ki's legal team filed for divorce, and within days, headlines around the world broke the news. Both actors released brief, restrained statements, asking for understanding and privacy. That was all. The public was left to fill in the blanks. Rumors swirled. Was it personality differences? A betrayal? Incompatibility? Media outlets speculated endlessly, but both stars remained silent. For Song Joong-ki, the decision to say nothing was deliberate. "We were two people under a magnifying glass," he says now. "Sometimes, silence is the only shield you have." Yet, as he explains, that silence came at a cost. He describes the months following the divorce as emotionally barren, marked by exhaustion and a loss of identity. "Wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the end of a vision I had built for my life." Professionally, however, he surged forward. Post-divorce projects, particularly Vincenzo and Reborn Rich, showcased a new depth in his acting. Fans and critics noted a sharper emotional edge to his performances, as if his personal pain had carved out space for richer character portrayals. He threw himself into work, spending 14 to 16 hours on set, using the craft as both distraction and therapy. He admits he declined interview requests and public appearances during this period. "I was protecting myself. Maybe I wasn't ready to face the questions. Maybe I feared I would say something I'd regret." Eventually, though, that wall began to crack. The turning point came, he says, when he became a father. Song Joong-ki quietly married British actress Katie Louise Saunders in early 2023. And the couple welcomed their first child later that year. "When I held my son for the first time, I realized how much I had carried, and how much I needed to let go." Becoming a parent, he says, gave him a new perspective on the past. "There's a part of me that still grieves. Not because I want to go back, but because I wish things could have ended differently. I wish there had been less pain. For both of us." Still, he maintains a deep respect for Song Hye Kyo. "She was important to me. She still is, in the way that someone who shaped your life will always be." "I have no bitterness, only gratitude." Asked whether he regrets the marriage, he shakes his head. "I regret how things unfolded, not the marriage itself. Loving her wasn't a mistake." That kind of clarity has been hard-won. The years since 2019 have been filled with private reckonings, spiritual growth, and, most of all, commitment to inner peace. He speaks of therapy, journaling, long walks alone in Jeju, and hours spent talking to his now wife about everything from guilt to healing. As the interview draws to a close, Joong-ki grows pensive. "People wanted answers. But sometimes, Even we don't have all the answers. Sometimes, two good people just don't fit. That's the part no one wants to hear because it's not scandalous, it's just human. His voice breaks slightly. This is not about blame. This is about a release. The weight of years of silence hangs in the air, but for the first time, it seems lighter. When Song Joong-ki chose to speak out, he didn't do it to justify, defend, or explain everything. He did it, as he puts it, to breathe freely again. His words resonated like aftershocks through the Hallyu community. Thousands of fans shared the interview on social media, expressing a mix of heartbreak, empathy, and admiration. But beyond the headlines and hashtags lies a deeper story, one of emotional complexity, vulnerability, and hard-earned maturity. In this second part of our coverage, delve deeper into the interview's revelations and what they say about love, loss, and personal growth in the public eye. Song Joong-ki began by addressing the silence. For so long, both he and Hye Kyo had been criticized for saying too little, for hiding too much. We weren't hiding. We were surviving, he said. There's a difference. He spoke about the pressure of living under constant public scrutiny, the assumptions made, the expectations placed, the demands to perform both on and off camera. You're expected to be perfect, to be happy, to be in love every moment. But real life isn't like that. He described moments when he felt emotionally invisible, even to those closest to him. Everyone wanted a part of us. We didn't know how to keep something just for ourselves. This emotional exhaustion, he says, contributed to the breakdown of the marriage. Stopped being two people and became two brands. That's a dangerous place to be. In speaking about Hye Kyo, he remained deeply respectful. There was no anger, no accusations, only a calm acknowledgement of difference. She's thoughtful, intuitive, incredibly intelligent. But we had different emotional needs, different ways of expressing pain. He paused. We were often sad in different languages. Asked whether there was a specific turning point, a moment he knew the marriage couldn't be saved, he became visibly emotional. It was quiet. That's what people don't understand. It wasn't a storm. It was silence that became too loud to ignore. He also addressed rumors of infidelity or betrayal, calling them deeply hurtful and completely false. There were no villains, just two people who stopped speaking the same emotional language. Joong-ki credits his healing to small, consistent efforts, therapy, honest conversations, and above all, parenting. Becoming a father taught me patience. It taught me to listen. He recalled nights spent rocking his newborn to sleep, reflecting on how far he'd come. You can't fake your way through parenthood. It's raw and real. It demands your presence. That kind of honesty, it reshaped me, with a new perspective. He's also reevaluated his relationship with fame. He speaks of maintaining boundaries, protecting his wife and child from unnecessary exposure, and focusing on meaningful projects over fame-driven decisions. The spotlight is warm, but it can burn you if you don't step back sometimes. Joong-ki now sees his past relationship with Hye Kyo not as a failure, but as a formative experience. Some people teach you love, some teach you strength. Taught me both. He closed the interview with a message to fans. Thank you for letting me grow. Thank you for not demanding perfection. I'm still learning, but I'm learning honestly. With those final words, the silence was no longer a burden, it was a bridge. A space transformed, not by noise, but by truth. In a world hungry for drama and scandal, Song Joong-ki offered something rarer, emotional clarity. And in doing so, he reminded us that even behind the biggest stars are just people, hurting, healing, hoping for